Hello, and welcome to episode 9 of Promoting Thought. We're going to be discussing esports celebrities, and the impact these can have on the more traditional gaming community as a whole. The first thing I want to do before we start is try and define what I mean by esports. Esports is a game played in a competitive environment, usually in a tournament structure, in a player versus player or team versus team format for prizes and rewards. Games such as League of Legends, Heroes of New Earth, Bloodline Champions, StarCraft 2, World of Warcraft, and so on and so forth. Now, esports celebrities is a relatively new thing, and these are the people who have risen to prominence within their gaming communities through very successfully playing that game to a level where they get into the invitational tournaments and actually earn a lot of money out of this and get a lot of status. The problem is that these people have very quickly risen to prominence in some of these games, and they did so without really being prepared for the spotlight that they would get from the gaming community as a whole. When you look at, say, some of the top League of Legends or Heroes of New Earth players, for example, and you look at how they conduct themselves on their private live streams and so on, compare that to people like Thane and people like Swifty, who come from the more traditional community-oriented background of gaming in many ways. These are people who go out of their way to promote a good image, a good community image, that they want to give something back to the community, that they want to build on what success they've got to make a positive impact. You can argue and debate whether that's genuine or marketing or spin or PR all you like. The fact is, these people, the Athanes, the Swifties, and so on in this world, want to do something positive for whatever reason, and that can only be saluted. You then look at some of the more recent esports celebrities, and you see there was a bit of a scandal, a bit of a hoo-ha, really, handbags at 10 paces over some guy who was playing League of Legends and streaming, one of their top players, who made some comment about one of the people he was playing in the game with, either on his team or the other, and alluded to them getting cancer, which, is never a joking matter. And quite rightly, he took a lot of criticism on the forums about this. But equally, there were people that jumped to defend him, and at this point you realise that the esports people who are at the pinnacle of their particular game are in fact minor celebrities amongst that community. When you start to look at it from this angle and appreciate just what that means, then you start to realise the power that these people have over the communities within those games. The responsibility that they should be being encouraged to take on, to take ownership of those communities and try to help improve them. If the games companies that actually helped promote them to this celebrity status did that, if they provided the tools and maybe a little bit of coaching, and there's certainly the money there for it, especially in the bigger games. When you consider that Valve invested over $1.6 million just in the prize pool for the Dota Invitational, when you consider that Riot have invested over $5 million in their Season 2 Championship prize pool across the whole season. All these games are one-upmanship with prize money for these esport games. Set a little bit of that aside. Help these guys that are at the top end of your community lead by example. Help them show the people playing your game how they should be going about it, how they should be treating each other with respect, with dignity, with courtesy, and how they should be taking pride in the community rather than deriding it. And if you start doing that, I think you will see the effects trickle down. Not because people are sheep, not because people will blindly follow where games lead, but because good examples always encourage more good behaviour and more good community engagement. And if you don't believe me, then on a much smaller scale, look at some of the comments that have come up over the first 2 episodes that we did of Promoting Thought. The fact is that if you show people the way to behave with dignity, respect, and just human compassion, a lot of people will follow on from that. And these people, with the way esports are going to explode next year, have the power to do that. If you want to see a positive example of community engagement and what it can get for you, if you're somebody wondering, well, what's in it for me? Look up channels like Thane Wins. Look at what that guy's doing. He is engaging with his community, and in return, they are promoting him to high heaven. He's saying, look, guys, I'll make you these personal videos, I'll promote you, I'll help you guys grow, and you do the same for me. And the amount of people that link back to his channel is phenomenal. It is a huge number. So there's a lot to be gained on both sides from this. And if these companies are already undertaking these initiatives, then they need to ramp them up. They need to be really helping coach these guys into a position where they can be figureheads. Because much like sports stars and much like actors, the more esports grows, the more it takes over from the traditional community, the more these people at the very top are going to be representative of it. And they are going to be the ones that mainstream media uses to judge us by. And if they can, you know that the mainstream media will use these people in a lot of cases to try and deride us and say, hey, look, this is what games promote. So-called rage, if you like the quote. And instead, what we need to be doing is encouraging these big game developers to help us present an image of gaming as an intellectual and social hobby. These tournaments, DreamHack, Gamescom, the Intel Extreme Masters, whatever, MLG Gaming, MLG Pro, these bring in a lot of people, a lot of viewers. They're big business. They are. They should be respected for the medium that they are and the achievements that they've made. But instead, they will be looked upon and judged as esports becomes more and more mainstream. And that's sad, because a lot of effort goes into these. These guys that play these games, they work hard. They have some skills that, me as a gamer, I will never match. I'm not that good. I'm okay. I can, play a decent game, but that's about it. I'll not be as good as these guys. And I am quite envious of the amount of money and attention they make out of it, and well done to them. They deserve it for the commitment they have to the esport they play in. But it'll never be held up in the same category as actual sports, while ever the image of it is of the basement-dwelling gamer. And some image coaching, some public relations coaching would go a long way to helping establish esports as a mainstream thing. So there's your reason for your game companies to invest in this process. There's a reason for your esports celebrities to do it. There's a reason for us as gamers and communities to encourage people to get into doing this kind of thing. All the reasons are there, all the points are there, and all you have to really do is look at the whole package and think, yeah, you know what? Maybe we could use this as a way to project a better image of gamers. And if we let esports instead trickle down the effect of a harsh, abusive, intolerant gaming image, and we let that trickle down into our communities, then what we do is we essentially give the people that want to deride gamers all the ammunition they would ever need. So really, guys, if any of you are big esports players, any of you are big MMO guilds or whatever out there listening, just think next time before you attack somebody, especially when you're streaming, before you flame somebody, before you call people names. Yeah, you might get a little ego trip out of it for a few seconds, but instead, take these people to one side. Say you're playing a 5v5 match in League of Legends or Heroes of Earth or whatever, and somebody has a bad game. Instead of flaming that person, take them to the side after the match, give them one bit of good advice. And I know a lot of you big esports players make money off of coaching players. So what I'm saying is give them one bit of good advice. Say, hey, look, you need to work on this. You did okay, but if you did this, you'd do a lot better. If you want some more in-depth explanation, here's my website, get in touch. You're marketing yourself. You're making that person's day a little bit better. You're making their gaming experience a little bit better. They will then pass that on to the next person they play with. If you put them in that sort of mood, it does have a knock-on effect. Not always, but generally. You'll make the community a little bit better. You may even make yourself a little bit out of it as well. All in all, you'll just help promote a better ideal of gaming. So that's all I've got to say, really. If you're an esports person, just take that responsibility serious. If you're following an esports person, encourage them to take their responsibility serious. If you play a game what has an esports community, encourage people in that community to just be a little bit more positive. If we all do this once a day, we will make a huge difference. It can be done. It is possible. It's in your hands. I'm going to wrap up this presentation, but I am going to say that the amount of subscriptions I've got has increased dramatically since last week, thanks to the plug on G4 TV's MMO report, and that's having a nice knock-on effect. I am loving doing this channel. I am really enjoying trying to get this message out. I'm hoping that I make a positive impact. I get a lot of messages saying that it's making a positive impact, so I'm really proud and grateful for that. And every bit of feedback I get does make me very happy and encourages me to do more of this. So what I'm going to say is, if you like what is being said here, if you like these videos, comment on them, press the like button, press the favourites button, stick a link up on Facebook, try and bring your friends here as well, show them this channel. Let's, build it up. We can build up a proper community out of it. We can make a bit of a difference, but I can only do that with your help. I can keep recording the content, but it's up to you guys as to whether this channel is a success or not and keeps going. I certainly am enjoying it and want to do it for a long time. I want to grow it, and to do that I need just your help in promoting the place, really, and getting word out there. So anything you can think of, send me a PM, retweet the channel over Twitter, stick it up on Dig, whatever. Just anything you can do to help me raise awareness of what we're trying to do here, I would gratefully appreciate. And all your feedback and suggestions, keep it coming. I love reading them. I've had quite a lot. I am going to address some of them in a future video of questions and answers, so if you've got anything you want to ask, then fire it away. As always, take care, guys. Enjoy your gaming. Be good to each other. Thanks.